Something unexpected unfolded on The View this week, and if you weren't watching the episode live, there's a good chance you missed it. But the exchange that took place between Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar may end up being one of the most revealing moments these longtime co-hosts have shared in nearly 2 decades. At first glance, it lasted only a few seconds. It was uncomfortable, subtle, and easy to overlook. Yet for viewers who have been following the growing tension between these television veterans, it felt like another important piece of a much bigger story. Whoopi fired back. Joy refused to retreat. The atmosphere in the studio shifted instantly. So what really happened? Why has this brief exchange sparked so much discussion? And could it be hinting at a deeper change behind the scenes? Stay with us, because as this story unfolds, every new moment seems to reveal another layer. The interview itself began just like any other daytime television segment. The View welcomed actress, producer, and writer Mindy Kaling to discuss her latest projects, her family life, and everything she has been working on recently. It was expected to be a relaxed, entertaining conversation filled with light-hearted moments. Then the discussion took an unexpected turn. Rather than keeping the conversation focused on Mindy, Whoopi Goldberg began reflecting on her own personal health journey. During the discussion, she revealed that at one point in her life, she weighed 300 pounds. It was a deeply personal statement. Whoopi has never been shy about discussing her experiences with weight, the pressures of working in Hollywood, the unique challenges she faced throughout her career, and even her use of GLP-1 medications. For years, she has spoken openly about body image and the realities behind public perception. But this particular revelation appeared to catch Joy Behar completely by surprise. And that's when everything changed. Instead of simply acknowledging the comment and moving on, Joy's expression immediately suggested disbelief. Moments later, she did something that few viewers expected. She questioned it. Right there at the table, with Mindy Kaling sitting beside them, a live studio audience watching, and millions of viewers at home, Joy openly challenged Whoopi's personal account. The room instantly felt different. Whoopi's response came without hesitation. Turning toward Joy, she answered firmly, "Joy, I did." Only a couple of words, but the delivery said far more than the sentence itself. Her tone carried unmistakable frustration, as if she had grown tired of defending her own experiences. It was not playful. It was not delivered with a smile. It was direct, emotional, and impossible to ignore. You could almost feel the energy in the studio change. Even Mindy Kaling appeared to recognize that something unexpected had just happened. But what followed made the exchange even more fascinating. Normally, when small disagreements emerge on daytime television, experienced hosts quickly ease the tension. A joke is made, someone changes the subject, and the conversation moves forward before viewers have time to dwell on the awkwardness. That didn't happen here. Instead of backing away, Joy continued expressing her skepticism. She didn't completely accept Whoopi's explanation, making it clear she still questioned the claim. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But sometimes the quietest moments reveal the most. And for longtime viewers, this interaction felt strikingly different from the dynamic audiences have watched for years. Could this simply have been an ordinary disagreement? Or was it another sign that the relationship between these veteran co-hosts is evolving? That's the question many viewers are now asking. If you followed our previous coverage, you'll remember that we recently explored how Joy Behar's approach toward Whoopi Goldberg appears to have shifted. After spending decades together at the View table, Joy no longer seems as quick to defend Whoopi automatically whenever disagreements arise. In earlier years, even minor tension was often softened with humor. One joke, one quick change of topic, and everything returned to normal before anyone noticed. That familiar rhythm now appears to be changing. Recent exchanges have suggested that Joy is becoming increasingly comfortable standing by her own perspective, even when it means disagreeing with one of the show's most recognizable figures. Whether this latest moment represents a temporary disagreement or part of a larger pattern remains open to interpretation. But one thing is becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. The chemistry between Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar doesn't feel quite the same as it once did. And if recent episodes are any indication, viewers may be witnessing the beginning of an entirely new chapter in one of daytime television's longest-running partnerships. As always, only time will reveal whether these moments are isolated incidents or early signs of something much bigger happening behind the scenes. One of the unwritten rules of live daytime television is simple. Keep the atmosphere comfortable. If tension appears, smooth it over. If disagreement surfaces, lighten the mood before the audience notices. That formula has helped The View maintain its signature style for years. But this time, that familiar playbook seemed to disappear. Instead of moving past the disagreement, Joy Behar held her position. She continued to question Whoopi Goldberg's statement, making it clear she wasn't fully convinced. The exchange remained calm, but it carried enough weight to leave viewers wondering if they had just witnessed something much bigger than an ordinary disagreement. And that raises an important question. Was this simply an awkward moment, or another sign that the relationship between these two veteran co-hosts is entering a new phase? For those who have followed the show closely, this didn't feel like an isolated incident. Over the past year, subtle changes have become increasingly noticeable. The dynamic between Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar appears different from what longtime viewers had grown accustomed to, and this latest exchange only added more fuel to that conversation. A few weeks ago, we explored the possibility that Joy's approach toward Whoopi had started to evolve. After spending nearly 3 decades on The View, Joy no longer seemed as eager to automatically defend her longtime colleague or quickly smooth over every disagreement just to preserve harmony on camera. Instead, viewers began noticing a series of small but meaningful changes. There were subtle shifts in body language, more frequent disagreements, interviews where Joy's comments about the current panel felt noticeably more reserved than they once had. On their own, each moment could easily be dismissed. But when those moments are viewed together, they begin to form a pattern that is much harder to ignore. And then came the interview with Mindy Kaling. For many viewers, it felt like the clearest indication yet that something about their working relationship may be changing. The polished on-air chemistry that had defined these co-hosts for years suddenly appeared less effortless. The carefully maintained balance seemed, if only briefly, to crack, allowing viewers to glimpse a level of genuine disagreement that usually remains hidden behind television smiles. But that's only one part of the story. Because this exchange happened during a period when Whoopi Goldberg has already been facing increased public attention from multiple directions. Stay with us, because the timing makes this even more interesting. Just days before the on-air disagreement, reports began circulating that ABC executives were discussing the future direction of The View as the program approaches its landmark 30th season. According to those reports, conversations have included the possibility of refreshing the show and evaluating the roles of several longtime personalities. Whether those discussions ultimately lead to changes remains uncertain, but the reports have naturally sparked renewed speculation among viewers. At the same time, Whoopi has continued to find herself at the center of several high-profile conversations. There was her well-known suspension in 2022. Public criticism from actress Monique earlier this year. The widely discussed voter ID debate, during which fellow co-hosts challenged her comments live on the air. And Whoopi herself has openly spoken about questioning how long she wants to continue on the program, often joking that she keeps working because Like everyone else, the bills still have to be paid. Each of those moments can certainly be viewed independently. But together, they create the image of a television icon navigating increasing scrutiny while working under a much brighter spotlight than ever before. Whoopi Goldberg remains one of daytime television's most recognizable personalities. However, the unquestioned authority she once appeared to hold at the discussion table doesn't seem quite as absolute today as it did several years ago. That helps explain why Joy publicly questioning such a personal statement captured so much attention. Not because of the topic itself, but because of who challenged it. Think back just 5 years. An exchange like this would have seemed almost unimaginable. At that time, the structure of The View felt firmly established. Whoopi served as the moderator, guiding conversations with the confidence of an Academy Award-winning performer whose presence naturally carried influence. Joy was an essential voice on the panel, but direct public disagreements with Whoopi were relatively uncommon. Everyone understood their roles. The balance remained consistent. And for years, that formula appeared to work. Today, many viewers feel they're watching something different. The conversation with Mindy Kaling added another piece to the puzzle, suggesting that the long-established dynamic may no longer function the way it once did. Joy appears increasingly willing to challenge opinions, question statements, and openly express disagreement when she believes it's warranted. Whether that's simply the natural evolution of a professional relationship that has lasted decades, or evidence of something more significant behind the scenes, is something viewers continue to debate. Either way, the shift has become much harder to overlook. And if this pattern continues, it could eventually influence the chemistry that has defined The View for so many years. But the story doesn't end there. Another development this week caught the attention of longtime viewers. Joy Behar announced that she would be stepping away from The View temporarily to enjoy a trip through Europe. On the surface, there is nothing unusual about that. Television hosts take vacations all the time. And at 82 years old, Joy has certainly earned every opportunity to take a well-deserved break. Yet sometimes, timing becomes part of the conversation. And in this case, the timing has left many viewers asking even more questions than before. The timing makes this story even more intriguing. Just as speculation surrounding Whoopi Goldberg's future continues to grow, just as viewers have begun noticing more visible friction among the co-hosts, and just as discussions about possible changes at The View are gaining momentum, Joy Behar has stepped away from the table, even if only for a short time. By itself, that wouldn't normally raise eyebrows. Television hosts take vacations all the time. But when several major developments happen almost simultaneously, people naturally begin asking whether they're connected. And that's exactly what many longtime viewers are doing now. Think about the sequence of events. First came the uncomfortable exchange with Mindy Kaling. Then reports surfaced suggesting ABC executives were exploring ways to refresh The View as it approaches its milestone 30th season. At the same time, conversations about the chemistry between the panelists became louder than ever. And now Joy Behar is temporarily stepping away. Coincidence? Perhaps. But it certainly gives people plenty to talk about. One thing her absence does provide is distance. For the first time in a while, Joy has the opportunity to step away from the daily pace of the show, watch everything unfold from afar, and reflect without being part of the constant on-air discussions. Of course, that doesn't automatically mean there's a hidden reason behind her vacation. It could simply be exactly what it appears to be. A well-deserved trip through Europe after decades of working in live television. There's nothing unusual about taking time off. Still, in television, Timing often shapes perception just as much as the events themselves. And right now, every new development seems to arrive at exactly the moment viewers are already paying closer attention. But the story extends beyond this one exchange. Because over the past several weeks, a broader pattern has started to emerge. Not long ago, Whoopi Goldberg became the center of another widely discussed on-air moment during a conversation about Donald Trump. While making an emotional point, she appeared to stop herself just before saying something she decided shouldn't be spoken on daytime television. She paused. The audience reacted immediately, responding with applause. Some viewers saw the moment as refreshingly genuine, a reminder that live television is unpredictable. Others interpreted it differently. To them, it felt like another example of something they've been noticing more often. The spontaneous moments seem to happen with greater frequency. The pauses feel longer. Unexpected corrections and uncomfortable exchanges appear more common than they once were. None of these moments, taken individually, are especially significant. But together, they begin forming a pattern that's becoming harder to dismiss. And then there was another major development. Earlier this year, Whoopi spent an extended period away from The View while filming an Italian television drama in Naples. When she returned, her enthusiasm was unmistakable. She spoke warmly about rediscovering her love for acting. She described how creatively rewarding the experience had been. She even admitted she'd be excited to take on more acting opportunities in the future. On its own, there's nothing unusual about that. Many television personalities pursue projects outside their regular shows. But what caught viewers' attention wasn't simply what she said. It was how she said it. Her excitement sounded less like someone describing a temporary assignment, and more like someone imagining what the next chapter of life might look like. After spending nearly 20 years in the same role, it's understandable that anyone might begin thinking about new challenges and different opportunities. When all of these developments are viewed together, the exchange during the Mindy Kaling interview starts to feel less like an isolated moment of awkwardness. Instead, it begins to resemble one piece of a much larger story. The atmosphere on The View appears to be evolving. The long-established hierarchy no longer seems as defined as it once was. Co-hosts appear increasingly willing to openly question one another. Disagreements feel more direct. And the instinct to immediately smooth over every tense moment doesn't seem quite as strong as it did in previous years. Even Whoopi herself appears, at times, more visibly frustrated when challenged. Her response to joy lasted only seconds. But authenticity has a way of standing out. And moments like these often leave a lasting impression long after the conversation has moved on. There's another factor that often gets overlooked: the studio audience. These aren't viewers casually flipping through channels. Many audience members follow the program regularly. They know the personalities. They recognize subtle shifts in chemistry. They notice body language, changes in tone, prolonged pauses, and the moments when the energy in the room suddenly changes. That's why recent audience reactions have become so fascinating. The applause following Whoopi's near on-air slip. The noticeable silence after Joy questioned her. The changing mood whenever disagreements surface. Those reactions suggest the audience is picking up on something that many longtime viewers have also begun to notice. And once the episode ended, the conversation only grew louder. Online discussions surrounding the Mindy Kaling interview quickly became divided, with viewers offering very different interpretations of what they believed had just unfolded. And that debate may be only the beginning. As clips of the exchange spread online, viewers quickly split into different camps. Some defended Whoopi Goldberg, arguing that a deeply personal story about someone's weight should never be questioned on live television. From their perspective, her firm response was understandable given the circumstances. Others felt Joy Behar was simply reacting honestly. They believed her skepticism was genuine, and that Whoopi's sharp reply made the moment feel more confrontational than it needed to be. But perhaps the most fascinating reactions came from a third group. These viewers weren't focused on who won the exchange. They believed the real story was something much bigger. To them, this wasn't about a disagreement over one comment. It was about a noticeable shift in the chemistry that has defined The View for years. They see a panel that feels less unified than it once did. They see long-time working relationships evolving in front of the audience. And they believe the moments viewers are witnessing today may be early signs of a much larger transition still to come. So what happens next? That may be the biggest question of all. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the Mindy Kaling interview feels less like a standalone incident and more like another chapter in a series of increasingly noticeable moments. Taken individually, each exchange might seem relatively small. Viewed together, however, they begin telling a much more compelling story. Joy Behar no longer appears content simply playing the familiar role viewers have known for years. Sunny Hostin and Sarah Haynes also seem increasingly comfortable expressing disagreement when conversations call for it. Meanwhile, the audience is paying closer attention than ever. Reports continue to suggest that ABC is evaluating the long-term direction of The View as it approaches a milestone season. And Whoopi Goldberg herself has openly reflected on her future, leaving many viewers wondering what comes next. All of those developments naturally fuel speculation. If recent episodes are any indication, similar moments of tension may continue appearing throughout the months ahead. By the time The View reaches its 30th season, the biggest conversations surrounding the show may no longer center on politics, ratings, or celebrity interviews. Instead, many viewers may be asking a much simpler question. What does the future of the panel actually look like? One person who undoubtedly understands moments like these is Joy Behar herself. After decades in daytime television, she has witnessed countless changes in casts, formats, and television trends. Experience teaches you that no era lasts forever. Shows evolve. Personalities change. Leadership shifts. And the people who remain successful are often those who recognize change before everyone else does. Whether that's what's happening here remains open to interpretation. But it's certainly one reason so many viewers continue analyzing every interaction between the co-hosts. As for Whoopi Goldberg, many fans feel her time on The View may be entering a different phase. That doesn't necessarily mean an immediate departure is around the corner. Nor does it confirm that any decisions have already been made. But after nearly 2 decades behind the moderator's desk, it's understandable why viewers are paying close attention to every public comment, every interview, and every on-air exchange. Moments like the one involving Mindy Kaling naturally become part of that larger conversation. And that's exactly why this story continues generating so much interest. Now it's your turn. What did you think of the exchange? Did Whoopi's reaction make sense after being questioned about a personal experience? Or do you think Joy was simply being honest and asking the question many people were already thinking? Was this nothing more than an ordinary disagreement between longtime colleagues? Or do you believe it reflects a deeper shift taking place behind the scenes at The View? Share your perspective in the comments below. The conversations in this community are always thoughtful, insightful, and filled with different viewpoints, and that's what makes them so enjoyable to read. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to leave a like. It helps more people discover the channel and keeps these discussions going. And if you're new here, this is the perfect time to subscribe and turn on notifications because we'll continue following every major development surrounding The View and its cast. One thing history has taught us is that daytime television is always evolving. Just when one chapter seems complete, another one is already beginning. Thanks for watching. Take care, and remember, sometimes the biggest stories aren't the ones everyone is talking about. They're the subtle moments that reveal themselves before anyone realizes how important they really are.